if you look at the history of the police, the culture of the police, the association of the police, it's a fraternity, it's a club. How do you change the nature of that?
Well, I think that it has to be a radical approach. That's why I was suggesting earlier, Clyde, is that I think we need to do something radical. Now, there's I've been sitting here in my window, and I haven't seen so many tanks driving by than when I was in Vietnam. And of course, I think we need to get rid of all of these tanks and all of these implements of destruction and violence, which sends a signal to the citizens. So I think that we need to take this radical approach now. And since Atlanta is considered the Black Mecca, the home of the civil rights movement, even though, as you well know, that we're fast moving because of gentrification. Atlanta will no longer be so-called the Black Mecca because we'll no longer be a majority black city. And I would suggest that perhaps Keisha Lance Bottoms perhaps will get a second term because Atlanta's still rather liberal to some extent. But I believe that Ms. Bottoms is going to be the last African-American mayor ever in the city of Atlanta because of our polarization. And so these moments come, and I think it's in the midst of this coronavirus that somehow, God has in His own wisdom have shut the world down, and so the coronavirus. We say it's not a respect of people, but then when we look at the fact that people whose health are fragile, like African Americans, because we're poor, we live in small, cramped spaces, and so when they say that we need to shelter at home, and but if you are living in a very small unit and you have a large family, it's impossible to really, shelter in. And so this coronavirus has shown us in places like Chicago, Illinois, which is a majority white, of course. 73% of the deaths in Chicago, I believe, was in the African American community. And, even here in Georgia, we know it's been very disproportionate. But because of our lack of good record keeping, we don't have an accurate record, but we know that it has hit us harder. And so therefore, this call that's been out there for some time for reparations to repair us for the damages that we have suffered since we've been in this country, serving 246 years as chattel slaves. And then another 100 years of terrorism under the reign of the Ku Klux Klan, and then a period of the civil rights struggle. We're very fragile, and this racism is not good for one's health. And so we're suffering under dual maladies of induced coronavirus that we don't know the source of it. We know that it's all over the world and all over the globe, and we've had to close down governments and operations, and even our solar system and our environment has taken some relaxation, and so that we can't drive our cars, and so all the pollution now has abated somewhat. It's been good for the environment. So we're in a quite a quandary right now.
Now, Mr. Beasley, I know that you have worked with the Task Force for the Homeless for quite some time. Now, I have ridden around this city, and I have seen all this new construction. All right, I've seen all these white folks out here jogging, but I've never seen so many people out here in the street living in the streets, next door or inside of a storefront.
Well, you know, Clyde, my heart bleeds when I look out my window sometimes and I see people that's sleeping in the doorways of like the bank, and there's like a barber shop across the street. The people are sleeping in those spaces, and you know, sometimes I feel so bad that since I have an extra bedroom, I want to go out there and say, you know, come on over here to my house, and you know, but because of we live in such a disruptive society and there's so much mental illness, sometimes you can't even take a chance on trying to do good if you want to do good. So there's no reason why we should have homeless and hungry people in the United States. And it's because of our callousness. And then we look at leaders like Donald Trump, who is really, I think it's an abbreviation, is a serial liar that has no humanity anywhere in his body. And I've been looking over the last week, last few days at military leaders like the 4-star general that was on his staff that had not suggested, but said flat out that Mr. Trump is a divider, that he's intentionally have sought out to divide America. And then another place, of course, where I spend a lot of time, as you know, in Brazil, which is majority African as a nation. And I don't know how you know, these anomalies come about, but the president of Brazil is even more deranged than Donald Trump. And he even is going against the notion of social distancing. And so I believe, and they stopped counting now. You know, they're in denial, the government, and so they're not counting anymore how many people are dying in Brazil. But it's my belief, because of the fragile condition of the majority population there, African Americans, that their death toll eventually surpassed that of the United States, which now stands at around 110,000 people that have died of this coronavirus.